Side quests can take a good game and make it great. And if you give it just a little bit of extra thought, you can actually trick your players into getting excited about the homebrew world that you've been spending, a million years putting together. So, in this video, we are going to go over a couple of popular video game examples. We're going to break down what we think they did well, what they maybe didn't do so well, and at the end of the video, we might even go over a few cliche examples that can actually become very good storytelling devices for you. So, stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to another JNJtabletop video. I'm Jake, and with me as always is Josh, and we're kind of excited about this side quest thing because they're pretty important. And we believe that good side quests start with good world building. Josh, I know that's a way you can kind of trick your players into learning about the campaign world that you spent so much time putting together. So, what do you think about that?
Most of the time, you probably have a campaign Bible, and your players probably don't want to read your campaign Bible unless your player is me, in which case I want to know everything.
Fair enough.
Or if your player's a DM, they probably want to know. But in most cases, they're not going to read it. But if you understand what's happening in specific areas of your campaign setting, you'll have an easier time making side quests that matter and feel important or significant to like that place in that world, and you're giving them that campaign Bible, but just little bits at a time, little tidbits at a time, so that they could play the game and learn it like the best video games. And speaking of the best video games, my first example, which is the good example, this is going to be from Dragon Age Origins, which I guess spoiler alert if you've never played this game from 2009. If you haven't, shame on you, try it out, it's excellent. Essentially, you're trying to find an artifact to heal someone, but this thing that you're finding is called the Urn of Sacred Ashes. Really, this is a fetch quest. You're going to find this thing. But what makes it awesome is that you learn all these intricate details about one of that religion's hero figures. It's in such a way where you're just trying to find this thing to keep the story moving. But because the thing you're finding is so engraved in the lore, you're learning the lore and it's not being forced on you. You're interested in it because it's important to what you're doing. So in that game, if any of your like party members are involved in the church, it's like a big thing for them to be on this quest with you. But if your player characters are involved in that, if they have like an acolyte background or if they're like a paladin or cleric or something like that, this is a big thing for them. It's going to be a really big thing for them to go find this artifact that's sacred to this religion, and they're going to learn about it. They're probably going to ask you a ton of questions about it because they're like, well, I think this would be important to my character and X, Y, and Z and blah blah blah, like all that kind of stuff. It's like their journey to the Holy Land, having something like that. But all it is a fetch quest. It's a
I know
spacer.
it's like the most vanilla thing that you find in almost any video game, but if you can just tie it into the player's background, or if another player's background can connect to it in a special way, especially if role playing is one of their like big motivations, it's that particular motivation has grown so much over the last few years, and yeah, this will do nicely. Dragon Age Origins is easily one of my favorite games ever, and that is an incredible side quest. Now, Josh, there's another example here. I I know I like the game a lot more than you do. It's not saying that you hate the game, but you've caught some flack once or twice for your opinions on Skyrim.
That's true. I've
And
been I've gotten in trouble on the internet a couple times about having hot takes on this game.
but I think your critiques about Skyrim here are completely valid. So one of the ones that we're going to talk about is just some of the basic. Oh, there's bandits hanging out in such and such a place. Go clear them out.
I'm not gonna get preachy with you about Skyrim as a whole and like with the surface level stuff. We're only gonna talk about this specific thing, but if you think I'm wrong about Skyrim or anything like that, just let me know in the comments. Just like Josh, you're an idiot. Skyrim's the best game in the world. Blah blah blah. Negativity. That's what happens anytime I say I don't like something on Twitter. Specifically, just like a random like clear out the bandits or clear out this bandit camp or this mine or like something like that in Skyrim, right? It's just a go kill these people quest. It's fun every now and then, and sometimes the players really just need combat. They just want to they want to try out new abilities, and they're murder hobos and they just want to kill things, whatever. And that's fine. That's a style of game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the dungeon dudes have referred to that as your beer and pretzels D&D. Maybe you don't have a ton of time to put something together. You've been working 60 hours that week. Your kids are falling off you while you're trying to prepare for the game or whatever's going on in your life. And you're like, "Yeah, there's bandits
Yeah.
around." That's a thing. And that's fine. That's totally fine. We just talked about a vanilla example.
Mhm.
Skyrim really doesn't develop it that much, but
Exactly.
there's ways to expand it into something special.
Yeah, the positive here is this is something that's easy to drop in anywhere, literally anywhere. The negative is that in the context of Skyrim, it's very surface level. It lacks any sort of depth or insightful storytelling or world building, except for the fact that bandits exist in this world. One positive, I guess you could say, is if you're clearing out a mine, you often find a shout. After you go through that same dungeon map that they have in every single mine or temple, and that same claw puzzle that they have in all of them. All right, sorry, I said I wouldn't get preachy about it. To take something like this, where it's literally just, hey, go kill these bandits. Bandits are here in this place and you need to kill them. Really easy steps that you could take to make that interesting and make it memorable. For this example, I'm going to talk about it in the context of Skyrim, but it's very easy to drop that into anything else. You have Stormcloaks versus Imperials. Let's say you get into this bandit camp. Bandits are wearing Stormcloak or Imperial armor or both. Now there's something interesting, right? Did they steal that armor? Was it theirs? If it's theirs, maybe they defected for some sort of reason involving like questionable leadership or goals, or maybe they were asked to do something they didn't feel comfortable with. So if that happens, right? And that happens. That absolutely happens. That's real. They're enemies of the Stormcloaks because they defected, but they're also enemies of the Empire and the Imperials because they fought for Ulfric Stormcloak. So now they have to be bandits to survive. Now you have a reason that they're there aside from just like, hey, we're bandits, like
We're the bandits that just bandit for banditing's sake.
exactly.
Like, okay.
We're the pirates who don't do anything, and
Yes.
that's a deep cut for some people.
Yes.
If they're defected soldiers, you don't have to kill them. You could have a conversation with them. I know, crazy concept, but even if you do kill them, maybe you find some sort of information or secrets or orders or something on their person, right? Like they were involved in the military. So, one, if you leave them alive and you question them, they're going to know some things. And two, if your players kill them, you could just, there could be like that file or that paperwork that they pick up off the body. Maybe it's just like some sort of plan or maneuver that was going to happen. Now, your players have something that they could do something with aside from just turning in the quest and saying, "Hey, we did it. Give us the gold." Now it's, "Hey, we did it. Give us the gold." And if you're for the Empire, like, here's these Stormcloak plans. Or if you're for the Stormcloaks, or you
Yeah.
really just playing for the highest bidder, you just go and you say, "Hey, we found these. They were going to be in Imperial hands, but we're giving them to you. Now you owe us."
You let them actually have a tangible agency over how things could potentially play out in the world in which they're adventuring in. All started from I don't know, there's bandits around. But all it is, just like we said in the beginning, it starts with good world building. Take that one extra moment and ask, why are these bandits doing what they're doing? Where did they get their equipment from? Did they steal it? Did they defect? All those things. Once you knock down that first domino, the rest just start to fall. It's like, oh yeah, and then this happens, and this happens, and this happens. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then just let the players tell the story because they get to make those decisions.
And especially if this is your 60-hour work week thing, and it's still a quick encounter. It's still you're going to this bandit camp to do this thing. You really just have to make the encounter. But one thing I like to do for NPCs, and we probably talked about this before, but like I will write a list of what the NPC knows. That extra 10 minutes of work is so much more time for the players to speculate and make plans of themselves, and
Oh
you
yes,
know.
you can kill a whole hour's worth of conversation for them just trying to figure out what to do, just on
Yeah,
that alone.
and it doesn't even have to be this thing, right? Like we'll keep going with the bandits, not in Skyrim anymore. But if your players like hear about these bandits on the road, they keep taking from the king and all this stuff. They're really hurting the king, and he's losing a lot of money because of it. Well, you go there, you get past that first layer of bandit guards, and then suddenly you find this camp of people who were left behind or forgotten from the
Yeah,
kingdom, and they
yeah,
need help. Well, now what do? Now that's what we call a moral quandary, and
I
that's
love that.
completely in your player's hands. And you took something that was a basic kill these bandits encounter and turned it into a what do we do about this? I can't kill all these children, and like or I don't
Yeah.
know. That's up to your players, whatever they decide to do. But you pretty much just have to let them decide and then react to it.
Well, like we said in the beginning, we also have a few examples of some things that are kind of cliche but can become really powerful storytelling devices for you. So I'll go first, and I'm going to just go with the classic some kind of fey kidnapping of a child. And, maybe something weird is happening in the forest. I don't know. Maybe something is upsetting some kind of balance for the Feywild and the nature thing. Maybe there's like a big kingdom doing something they shouldn't be, and Fey Crossing is about to get demolished or changed, and who knows what the Fey are up to, but they don't like it.
Yeah.
They don't
Like
like
if you're
it.
in like if you're in the context of say Wildmount, right? You have the Dwendalian Empire, which is like constantly expanding. If they're like tearing down the woods or something like that, like it makes sense,
Exactly.
especially like in our game, they're kind of like Ancient Relics and Hoki Religions. Check out that playlist. Like they're kind of one of the enemies in the game. They might be more of a neutral faction in other people's Wildmount world, but not in mine. One of my favorites would be like shadows and ghouls and zombies and all those like nasty things. If they're all coming out suddenly and you're having to fight these, and the village people are telling you like, hey, we're trying to do our thing, but every time we go out, there's these monsters that just keep coming by. There's ghouls and zombies and ghosts and whatever other horrible things that you could think of, like undead monsters, all that kind of stuff. Well, if there's war going on as a backdrop, this is something that could happen if there was a battle nearby. And
Yeah, I like
suddenly
that.
there's a lot of corpses there, and whatever like specific reason you give that is happening because of that war that you have going on in your background. If something big is happening, some sort of big event is happening, it should make waves.
I love that because you talk about something big happening and making waves. Yeah, that's like the whole Dragon of Icespire Peak story in a nutshell. A dragon moves into the area, and now it just has a trickle down effect on the whole region. One of the most classic things is there's goblin raids, there's orc raids. Yeah, well, something pushed them out of their natural living area, the way they're existing, and that's just a classic one. I mean, we have our Dragon of Icespire Peak playthrough and how to, which is probably what our channel is most known for, at least at this point. Give depth and meaning. It's not just the goblins and orcs are just these evil creatures. Like they're trying to survive.
Dragon of Icespire Peak was a master class, and here's your main quest, and here's all of the side effects that really you only have because of this main quest. All of the orc things like stem down from, well, the dragon moved in and there's problems,
Oh
and then
yeah.
the other stuff was like, well, since the dragon's here, what if it attacks? Let's go, set up Axholm. I think that's the first time I've said it correctly, unless I said it wrong again.
You might, yeah, that might be true.
It really was well done as far as like, here's the lore, here's the main quest, here's why the side quests matter because of the main quest. These were just some quick tips on making side quests that matter and aren't completely random and don't suck, frankly. If you have any other tips or ideas or ways that you have introduced lore or the main story in your game through a side quest, I'd love to hear those stories below. Or if you just have a favorite side quest, tell us that story because we honestly love those, and maybe we'll steal it or maybe we'll talk about it in another video. I don't know. But if you enjoyed this, please like this video, comment, give us a subscribe. If you like us and you want to chat with us, then pop into the Discord. Links in the doobly doo. We have plenty of playlists for players and dungeon masters. And then if you just want to watch us play the game, we have videos of those too. So check them out. Hope to see you soon. Have a great day.